Hey, what is going on, fight fans? You already know it's Tuesday night, 10 p.m. It's time to get your favorite drink out there, get your favorite sandwich, whatever you want to do, because the weekend is over and the boys are back. Fight Club 215 in the house with myself, Paul Spencer, and the main man, Joey the Hitman Woods. Joey, what is going on, brother? After that long freaking weekend we all needed, brother. How you feeling?
It was a great weekend. Yeah, we had ended up having some good weather, not too much rain, anything like that. Great weekend.
Yes.
Great, great card for the UFC. A lot of
Mm.
good matchups. A lot of just stand and trade type of matches. So it was
Yeah.
really great card. One of those cards where you can go back and watch it. Maybe not for the main event, but go back and watch it and just. It was really a
Yeah.
good card. So
I mean, if you watch this event, I mean, from top to bottom, Joey, there was some things that happened that you weren't predicting to happen, and the way things happened were just like mind blowing. It was like a script that was never seen to be, heard of out there. Speaking of that, I mean, the undercard, Joey. We really didn't even talk about the undercard. We talked about Cowboy Cerrone a little bit, the legend that he is, the warrior. But Joey, he retired.
mm.
He retired, Joey. I mean,
Like a piece of my like a piece of my childhood was coming to an
yeah,
end there, because Cowboy Cerrone's been a legend in the game for years.
yes,
As
yes.
long as I could remember being a fan of MMA and UFC,
Hmm.
he's been in it. So watching him retire, it felt like one of the last few guys that I've grown up with, kind of stepping away from uh from the game. It's like you never like to
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I seen it happen, Joey, I went outside to get a drink. I let my dog out real quick, and I came back in, and I'm hearing him say, "I'm done." Actually, a tear came out of my eye, Joey. I mean, just like you said, it was. I mean, I'm 51, and I've seen this guy throughout his career, and this was a legend, Joey. I mean, we're talking about a guy that, if there's a fight next week and somebody backs out, you give this guy a call. He's stepping in. He don't care who he fights, what kind of fighter he is. He's a true statement of UFC MMA, Joey. He's a true
I mean,
statement of it.
just looking him up and stuff like that, like he was WEC and then UFC purchased WEC.
Hmm.
He came over with that and stuff, but he was been on the main stage, been on the main kind of WEC
Yeah.
UFC since 2008. Like to
Hmm.
put that in perspective, I was in eighth grade when this dude came onto the main scene, so kind of
Wow.
grew up watching Donald Cerrone. So
Yeah.
that was like and then like the cowboy hat down. He had the kids in the ring with him and stuff. I
Hmm.
get it though. I get what he was saying. Like UFC MMA is a combat sport. If your heart's not in it
Right.
and you're not giving it your all, you're only going to be
Hmm.
hurting yourself in the long run. If you're
Yeah.
not training 100% and your heart's not in the game, it's going to end badly for you. So I
Yep.
respect that he can acknowledge even with the longevity that he's had, that
Yeah.
he can respect the fact that he's not in it anymore, and he
Hmm.
isn't one of these guys that we're seeing just getting mangled after fight after fight. Um, went out on
Yeah.
his feet. Yeah, exactly. But
Hmm.
I just
Right.
like I said, like going out on a shield. But I'm glad he went out on his own terms. It was a loss, yes,
Yeah.
but we didn't see him lose like these awful knockouts that we see some of these fighters
Right. Right.
who last and stay in too long,
Hmm.
and then it's like these guys just need to retire. You see a lot with boxing where guys
Yeah.
just kind of don't step away at the right time, and it just gets really ugly for them. So I'm glad that Donald Cerrone was able to go out on his terms. He had
Hmm.
his kids in the ring with him. He had his cowboy hat on. It was a really cool moment to watch. The second I had some friends over, I had my cousins over, my brothers over. We all watched it. Exactly, like Chuck
Yeah.
Liddell at the
Yeah.
end there, like Rashad Evans. That Rashad
Hmm.
Evans knockout to me will always stick in my head.
In head. Yeah. It
A
always stick
fight
in my
that should
mind.
never happen. Should
Hmm.
never happen. So
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
glad. I'm glad
good.
Cerrone lost that last fight. He also lost to a legend. Jim Miller is a
Yeah.
legend of the game. So it was two legends who were going out there and going to go to
Hmm.
battle. So I'm glad that was his last match. But we had friends over and stuff and put the hat down. I'm yelling, "No, don't do it, don't do it!" And then everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "He's retiring." I'm like genuinely pissed, but I'm glad he went out where he was still able. Did he say something about acting or something like that? Like he
I
wanted
don't know.
to
I was
act?
Joey. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. When I heard the word retirement, tears came out of my eye. My ears closed, and it was just one of those moments that you didn't want to see this happen, but you understood it, like you said. But you know what?
Yeah.
I don't see him not acting. I mean, he's a likable guy. His image, he's well loved, and it's either going to be that or he's going to be announcer for the UFC somewhere. A ringside or whatever he wants to do. Options are open for him. I mean, Cowboy has every option out there, Joey.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Yeah,
definitely
and
does.
I'm not sure if you ever watched anything on him.
I really don't watch
But
a lot of the documentaries, Joey. I really don't.
but he's like a big man child. Like when he
Mm-hmm.
does like he has a huge ranch. I
Mm-hmm.
believe he's in Utah or something like that. I think
Okay.
that's where the Winkus.
Okay.
That's where he's at. He's at Winkus MMA, which is a huge Jackson Winkus, which was like Jones and Holly Holmes and
Mm-hmm.
all
Yeah.
those guys train there. I think that's Utah or somewhere in that
Mm-hmm.
Midwest region. And he has like a huge ranch out there where he loves ATV and off-roading and like just like a big
Mm-hmm.
man child that like just buys all these different gadgets and stuff. He's made a boatload of money. He's actually
Right.
said that as far back as the McGregor fight, his heart wasn't in it. But
Yeah.
how can you turn that fight down? If Conor McGregor comes knocking, you're answering. You
Yeah. You're
deserve it.
definitely.
He
Yeah, you're
deserves
definitely
it.
going. You're definitely going to answer that call if Dana calls you and says, "Hey, one more shot. We need somebody." If the money's there, he'll step in, Joey. But it's just like you said, the
Dana
MMA.
calls and says Conor McGregor wants to fight, you're answering, regardless if
Anybody
your
will
heart's
answer.
in it or not.
Ric Flair might jump in and fight
Yeah,
that one, Joe. You know what I mean? Like how? I mean, that's a money shot right there. But you're 100% right, Joey. I mean, a lot of days, Joey. I'm gonna take it back. A long time ago when we were playing football, Joey. When I coached you, how many parents did we have come to us, Joey, and said, "I want my kid to play. I just want my kid to go out on the field and stand there." No, you don't do that on football.
yeah.
You don't do that in UFC. Like, dude, you're gonna lose your head. That's why we say keep your head on a swivel in football. Here,
I think you and
man.
my dad would always give that speech before the season started. Like, if your kid's hearts aren't
Yes,
in it,
yes,
don't play through your kid, because if you play through your kid, a combat
exactly.
sport like football or boxing or MMA, if your heart's not in the game, you're going to get hurt.
100%. I mean, me and your dad do the same thing, Joey, because we were always, either coaching together or I was one up, and I think your dad always coached the lower one. But
Yeah.
every speech, we always had that. And Joe, and I remember one time I used your name and Shane's name. I said, listen, you parents, how we all give the speech in the beginning. Listen, if your kid's out here just playing through your eyes, you better take your kid. We'll give you the money back and go home. Go play soccer. Go play something else, because I got kids on this field, Joey Woods, Shane Spencer, that's been playing for 4 or 5 years, and they're going to watch your kid. And if your kid ain't paying attention, your kid might end up in a hospital somewhere,
Yeah.
because football is a violent sport.
You're
And
talking
people
about two
didn't.
grown men who are in there to kill each other. It's a lot worse than
Yeah, yeah. And
10-year-old kids, So if your heart's not
exactly.
in it and you're just doing it, you're kind of going through the motions at that point,
Yes.
you're right to step away. So I respect that. And Jessica I,
Mm-hmm.
not to from her, she for a little while there, I would probably say 6-7 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
she had a little run there where she was on a monster run. I think she beat Misha Tate and
I
everything.
think it was Misha Tate. Yeah,
Yeah, I
she
mean, I
had like
remember
a
there
three
was that
a
that
3-fight
infamous
run. Mm-hmm.
that infamous fight where I think it was either she got punched in the ear or someone punched her in the ear, and it like exploded
Exploded.
in
Right. Yeah.
mid-fight. In
Mm-hmm.
mid-fight. So that's always something I remember from her. But she was one of those ones who I think she actually got released from the UFC.
Right.
Uh, was gone for a while, and then she genuinely worked her way back and got back to the UFC. And
Mm-hmm.
another one, she lost, but she still went out on her terms in the highest level possible. She worked
Exactly.
her way back, so nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get three, Paul. I really thought we were going to get three. I thought we were going to see Lawler hang it
Really?
up too. I thought so.
Really? Wow. You really thought that was going to happen too?
I did think it was going to happen. I thought
Mm.
any fight at this point with Lawler, I think so. A right time for him. The other side of 40 in some just
Yeah.
straight up wars. Nothing left. There's nothing left
Mhm.
for him to prove.
Right. Right.
If he's gonna stay in it, I would like to see him in some of the Cerrone fights where he's fighting other legends, where there's just two guys in there just love the sport and aren't in it to compete, because he's not gonna compete at that highest level anymore.
No. No. You're right.
He's not even gonna touch anyone in the top 5 at this point. So
Right.
I would like to see him just maybe fight some guys who are just legends.
Yeah. I agree with Evan. 100%.
Yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying, Evan. What I'm saying is I would like to see Lawler just fight some legends. Fight like a Jim Miller. I mean Cerrone's done, but fight a Donald Cerrone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would like to see these fights like we saw him last time with Nick Diaz. I want to see him in those fights. I want to see him fight these legends. I don't want to see him fighting these young guys who are
Yeah.
grinding it out and trying to get to a title, because There's no reason for him to be in there with those killers. Let him go out. You never see any more guys go out on the sunset, drift off into the sunset. A lot of these guys now just go out. McDonald's, I don't know if you watch PFL, Evan. That's on ESPN. I believe that's what McDonald's in now. McDonald is a shell of himself. McDonald has never been the same since that Lawler fight. He is a shell of himself. He is not even close to the fighter he ever was. He left UFC, went to Bellator, had a kind of unsuccessful run in Bellator, and now I think he's in the Professional Fighting League, which is like it's actually like a season, Paul. You get points and stuff. It's an actual season where you get points. And you get like a playoff and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool atmosphere, and it's different. And every year it's a new season.
Okay, all right.
So it's really cool. It's really cool. It's on ESPN too, actually.
Is it okay?
But I think McDonald is in the PFL, and he just doesn't look the same. And I think it's that Lawler fight. That fight was a war. Probably the best fight I've ever seen.
Well, let me ask you this, Joe. Well, let me ask you this. Okay, we know Cowboy, man. We know he's a warrior. We know at the drop of a dime, if the call's there, he'll come back and fight.
I know where you're going.
Do you know where I'm going, Joey?
Nope. I think this is it. Well, I do think Cerrone is a guy of his word. I do think he is genuinely one who knows that, like we said, if we know it and we're just two couch potatoes, that if you're not in it, you're gonna get hurt. He definitely knows it too. So I definitely think when he says he's done, he's done. I don't care who comes knocking. I think he's done.
But Joey,
I respect it.
I do too. I 100% do that. I respect that man 100%, Joey. Like I said, I shed a tear that night. But my last question, Joey, regarding to before we move on to the next subject, the card, is what if Trilla comes knocking on a door, or Mayweather says, "Hey, you know what? Come on the card. We have a fight for you, an exhibition boxing match."
I could see that.
I could see that.
I could see if Triller comes like that new triad thing. Yeah, you're not seeing that.
No.
You're not seeing that.
No.
Khabib's coming in there to ragdoll you. You trained that your whole entire training camp, and you still can't stop it. This is coming from the biggest McGregor fan in the world. You know it's coming, and you still can't stop it.
That's
so. 100%. But if you check out our, it's funny Khabib was mentioned, because if you check out our Twitter page, I actually shared a video the other day of McGregor was doing a stand-up special with one of the famous inspirational speakers, talking about that night when he fought Khabib, and Khabib's cousins tried to jump McGregor after the fight.
Right.
And he was talking about how he said, "I could smell the guy's punch coming from a mile away."
Did he really?
And he said he threw an overhand right, and you can see in the picture I ducked it and hit him with a left. But it's funny because I believe the guy that he sucker punched that night was actually Islam.
I think it was. I think
it was Islam, and I think he rocked Islam that night. I'm not getting carried away here. I still think Islam stretches McGregor, but he rocked Islam that night. So, but no, Khabib's done. Khabib's doing his Eagle FC. He's done. Exactly. His heart. Another one. Same thing with Cerrone. You lost your dad. His heart's not in it.
Exactly, that's true right there. I mean, we touched on it a couple of weeks ago, Joey. Before we get into Rob's comment, we touched on that, Joey. Your dad coaches you all your life, Joey. From 5 years old all the way up until the championship run with the belt. You lose your dad, man. You lost that instinct. You lost that man in the corner to hear his voice. What do I need to do? Because you're looking for that voice, and it's just like the warrior mentality. Once you lose it,
dad. It's funny you mentioned dad coaching, because I never got that as a kid, because me and my dad would always fight. Like he would tell me to do something. He would tell me to do something, and I'd be like, "No, I'm not doing it." No. And he's like, "I'm your coach. You got to do it." So he'd be like, "That's why you were my coach for football." And he would always coach younger guys, because he's like, "I'm not coaching Joey."
Then how did I get stuck with Shane every year? Because me and him battle. There was one time, Joey. Not to get off the subject, I remember, Joey. We were running the play. Remember we ran like a wishbone and like a X offense pretty much one year. And I said to Shane, I was like, "How about you run a 32X?" And he was like this. He was like, "I'm not running that."
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the coach. He's like, "I don't care."
That's what that's my dad said. He's like, "I'm the coach. You got to listen to me." And I was like, "No, I'm not doing it." He's like, "I'm coaching Chris. You can move up, and whoever coaches you coach." He was like, "We ain't arguing in the middle of football fields." I was like, "All right."
I got to talk to your dad about that, because I got stuck with the two hard heads, you and Shane. I don't know how I got stuck with you guys for years. But hey, listen, there's Rob Rapner right there. You can check him out. He's on Out of the Box Network every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Vegas Sports Scenes. My man Vegas Rob brings you all the Vegas heat. And guess what? He has a new co-host on air with him this week. I'm not going to give his name out, so you guys better stay tuned, check him out, because they're going to be talking some Raider football. I mean, these dudes are crazy when they get to it. But check him out every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Evan, Laura, I feel Connor was doing better later before he broke his foot. What do you think about that, Joey? I know you're a big Connor fan. Do you think that foot injury was his downfall?
I think that foot or if you're talking about the foot with Periera, I think the foot saved him because I think it ended up being a no contest, but I think he was on the verge of being dropped in that fight. Which
I agree.
I don't know what it is. I don't need to see, like, as a Conor fan, I don't need to see him in the title picture. I like to see him fight, like, maybe let him see Diaz again, maybe let him fight some name fighters. But I don't need to see him in the title picture because I just think those guys at 150, 155, even 165, they're just killers.
Is that his pop hand picked his fights and bribe fighters during Weekend Warriors?
Not so much in the UFC though. He worked his in the UFC. He worked his way up. It was unfortunate that the Tony Ferguson fight never came to fruition. That's kind of one of those fights where everyone always asks, like, what is that one fight you always wish?
Right.
You always wish, but that's the one fight that I always wish.
Evan said he broke his fight in the Khabib fight. I don't remember that.
No, I don't remember that either. He broke his. No, he broke his leg in the Poirier.
That thing snapped right in half.
That was horrible.
Yeah,
that was horrible.
That snapped. Yeah, that snapped right in half. I remember that. I'm like, oh my god, that was. And then Joey, you look at these fights, and that fight when he stepped back, Joey, and that ankle just snapped, it was just so gruesome. Where, like, you're 160 pounds and you're trying to put all that pressure on your back foot. And it was just, my God.
Yeah, I think it had to be broken before that step back, and then that step back.
Well, he said
caused it to break it like that.
Didn't McGregor say that he caught it on a check or something like that?
Yeah, I think he broke it on the check before that. And when he stepped back, it just caused it to come out of his leg pretty much.
Right. I agree. Yep.
Yeah, but
there's Pat Bernard. You can check him out every Sunday morning on Devereaux Sports, the Gobbler Inc. every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Check him out. He's a good guy. Check him out on their little network over there. We appreciate you checking in, Pat. Appreciate that. But let's get on, Joey. I mean, there was a fight right after that one. Cowboy, Jessica, we wish you well. We wish you in your next adventures. You guys were champions, warriors.
Well, last thing, I think we see Jessica I maybe in Thriller before we see Cowboy. I can see her. I can see her doing some bare knuckle. I can see her in like bare knuckle. I really could, because she's a good stand-up fighter. If she can get into a combat sport where there's just stand up, she's not that old either. I could see her doing bare knuckle boxing.
All right, so that you're gonna make the bold prediction on July 5th, 2022, that Jessica I goes before Cowboy Cerrone in one of these Triller fights. Are you saying that right now?
Bare knuckle. I think it's bare knuckle.
All right. We'll keep that. We're gonna mark. We're gonna clip shot this right here. We're gonna hold that for future reference.
Yeah.
All right, Joey. Let's get into the main card here, man. I'm a big fan of this crazy ass dude. This dude is insane. I mean, his YouTube videos, his Twitter account is off the chain.
Yeah, he's real big with the Nelk boys, right? He's real big with the Full Send guys.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you see, getting off topic real fast, did you see the Full Send guys were interviewing Diaz in the back? And they made a comment, something like, Nate Diaz is wild, but he's no Sean O'Malley. And Nate Diaz slapped the shit out of him.
I didn't see that.
It was real. Like, it wasn't scripted. Like, Nate Diaz slapped the shit out of this dude.
Wow, I didn't even see that. I gotta check that out.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, this was a wild fight. Believe it or not, Paul, it came out today that I think 2 of the 3 judges had Munez up 1-0.
Yeah, I seen that today, Joey. I mean, that's what they were saying, that somebody, I forgot where it was. I got to look on Twitter. Somebody actually wrote it on one of the things we follow, Joey, where they said that O'Malley was feeling the heat, that he was down 0-1, and he felt the pressure. So he went after the eye poke.
I don't think it was intentional. I mean,
it wasn't.
People have been calling for years for those gloves to be changed.
Diaz.
Diaz. I mean, I think it was it was Jake Shields and Nahum Miller who fought back in Strikeforce, and after the fight, Shields, the Diaz brothers, and Gilbert Melendez actually jumped Mayhem Miller after the fight, like full blown jumped him inside the cage. Like that was, I don't know if you ever seen that before. It was wild, and I think it was actually one of the Strike Forces that was on like CBS. So
Really?
there's on CBS, you got these guys jumping another guy in the cage. They had to cut the feed and everything.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
But this fight, they've been calling forever for these gloves, something to where it doesn't restrict you from grappling, but it doesn't allow you to extend the fingers to, because a lot of these guys they're trying to gauge the distance. In boxing, your fists are enclosed, so when you're gauging the distance, there's not that
Nick Duck Mayhem after that too.
yeah.
Somewhat.
Yeah, well, I think Mayhem was a little overhyped with that bully beatdown stuff, but we're not gonna get into that. But when you're gauging the distance with your fingers, it's bound to happen when you're engaging. Another thing that happened was right as O'Malley was gauging the distance, Munez, I believe, threw a punch. So
Yeah.
O'Malley's coming forward. Munez is also Munoz. I keep saying Munez. Munoz is coming forward, and it's just a perfect storm of two guys moving forward, and people are like, "Oh, it's not that bad." I mean, if you even get poked in the eye like this, like that hurts. So, and you're watching this in slow motion, so it looks, oh my god, like it's nothing. Like people at my house were saying, "Oh my god, Munoz was looking for a way out. That was nothing." When these guys are moving as fast as they are, and that finger even touches your eyeball, it doesn't have to go in your eye. If that touches your eyeball, that's gonna do damage. So. And fighting is not one of those sports where you chance it. If you can't see out of that eye, you're not chancing it, and you're not fighting that fight to make that crowd happy. You live to see another day. If you can't see, you you tell the refs the truth. You live to see another day.
Oh, I agree. I mean, just like Evan says here, John Jones was known for eye pokes. I mean, we've seen it. There's a guy on the card tonight, Isreal Adesanya. You see him fight. How many times does the ref tell him to close his fingers? At least once or twice in a fight, no matter what. That's gauging.
Because he's so
exactly.
He's so keen on using that distance. He's the best I've maybe ever seen with being able to gauge that distance and just being close enough to where he can strike and you can't strike. So that's why they do that though. That hand lets them judge how close they are without it. So, but it's just like people, like I hate people like Munoz just fought killers.
Yes.
Killer. For you to say he was looking for a way out after the wars he's been in, it's not like O'Malley touched him with anything that would make him say, "Holy crap, this guy's gonna knock me out." So for people to say he was looking for a way out, it's just horrible because like you don't know what this guy was really seeing out of his eye. He could have truly not been able to see. Like a scratched cornea is nothing to play around with. If you can't see out of your eye, you can't see, you know, especially with a guy like O'Malley who's so good at striking on the feet. If you can't see out of that eye, you're not chancing it. So I'm glad he didn't lie.
I mean, I agree with you, Joe. I actually text you and I was that poke in the eye was bullshit until I seen it how it happened. And then I'm thinking like, wow, you know what? Let me put myself in that fighter's position, just like you said. I mean, we're going to get into a fight with, you know, in the co-main event where someone's eye was ripped open, Joey.
That was horrible.
I mean, we'll get into that, but that's exactly the case right there. In the
if it's
eye,
boxing, it stopped.
Exactly, that stops 100%.
Yeah,
but we'll get into that. Just like you said, Joey, you're playing with a livelihood, dude. This is how people pay their bills. And if you can't see, I know at home we want that punch out. You know, we want the vicious hit. But man, you know, and dude,
we're definitely robbed, Paul, because O'Malley does put on a great fight on the feet.
Yes.
We're definitely robbed. But Pedro also puts on a great fight. So we were definitely robbed from that fight just because these two guys are absolute killers in that division. So we were definitely robbed. But I think I'll run it back. I think we'll see it again. There wasn't enough there. There wasn't enough there for us to say, oh, Pedro was totally outclassed. I definitely think people were just totally overlooking him, and it was very disrespectful just because of the hype that O'Malley got. And look, let's listen to me talk about hype and stuff as a McGregor fan. McGregor was one of the most overhyped fighters ever, but it's just.
I'm glad you admit that finally, Joey. I'm glad you're admitting that he's a name draw.
I've
know,
always
I know
admitted
you
it,
have.
Paul.
I know you have.
He sells the fights with his mouth before his gloves
Of
even.
course, of
But
course.
that's what the UFC was missing for a while there. You have to admit
Mhm.
that the whole game of UFC changed when he came on the scene because there was all these look at some of the biggest storylines in UFC history: Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, right?
Mhm.
Let's Patty got a hard fight coming up. Let's get Patty past his next fight
Yeah, let's not count the chicken before the hat.
before we're moving up there because this next guy Patty's fighting, even though the
Mhm.
dude twerks in the ring and stuff, he's a killer. So we'll see about that. But I like Patty. I definitely
Yeah.
think Patty came from the same promotion as McGregor that UFC
Mhm.
got McGregor out of Cage Warrior, big over like the UK and stuff. So definitely someone I follow. I like the Irish fighters. I like the way they fight. You know,
Right, right.
they go out there and leave it all on the line. So I definitely like them. He's definitely someone I follow. But
Yeah.
let's get Patty past his next fight before we move him on to
Yeah, but
O'Malley.
I mean, I definitely agree. I think there's going to be a rematch clause here, Joe. Not a rematch clause, but I think they're going to run it back one more time because this was just an it was a disqualification, of course, but it was unintentional. Let's put it that way. And I think they are going to run it back. I mean, I'm just kind of upset because I know O'Malley was going to win this fight, and I think you took Munoz on this one, didn't you?
I
I
did.
think you. Yeah. So right now we're 0-0 still,
Yeah,
Joey. So
but did you see O'Malley was tweeting 16-0 because he still claims he's
he
undefeated?
did. He did. Yeah, I seen that. I'm like,
Did you
all
see
right,
that Lambo he has? That was from the Nelk Boys. That was from Full Send. They gave
that
him that, I think.
that is insane, man. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, dude. Like, just like you said, the name draw. O'Malley sells. O'Malley
Yeah,
sells who you
O'Malley
fight.
definitely sells. It's like, but that's what I'm talking about, Paul. Like McGregor. Before McGregor, what was some of the biggest storylines in UFC? Remember, it was Chuck
Right.
Liddell and Tito Ortiz. And why was
Exactly.
that? Because they had bad blood, and because it
Hmm.
was the storyline outside of the cage that came into the cage that drew it.
Hmm.
So I think it was a no contest,
It was considered a no contest. What is it?
a
Some
draw.
kind of draw, but yeah, they
It
considered
wasn't.
a no
I
contest.
don't even
But
think it showed up on their scorecard. Like, I don't
I
think
don't
it
think
was
it
a.
did. I don't think it
It's
did.
not
I
like
don't think it
it's
did.
not like a 16-0-1 type thing. Like, I think it was just
Exactly.
a no contest.
Hmm.
It's just pretty much thrown out because if you actually pick this fight in a bet, they actually just if you did a
Yeah.
5 fight parlay, it actually just became a 4 fight parlay.
Speaking of that, I did place that bet, Joey, on this one. I took O'Malley, and I looked at. I'm like, because I put 100 on it. And I'm like, oh shit, are you serious? I already lost because of a DQ, and
Hmm.
I hit the other four because I took in the championship. I did
Izzy.
take Izzy. I take Izzy. You know, when you're playing with money, Joey, you're gonna be real.
Yeah.
You know, so I did take Izzy, but I looked at it and I'm like, okay, wait, it's a wash, it's a push. So I'm like, okay, it's done. So it didn't count against anything,
Yeah.
even in the marking.
That happened to me a couple months ago. Like 2 years ago, I believe it was Diego Sanchez. I picked him in a fight.
Hmm.
He was getting absolutely murdered. And
Hmm.
then something happened where I think he got an eye poke or something like that. And he said he couldn't see, and they called it a no contest.
Hmm.
And I actually ended up winning the fight for big money because it was a no contest. Because if not, I was losing that fight because he was getting spanked. Like it was 3-0 in the third round. So I was like, thank God for that no contest.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I definitely think we'll see it running it back
I think they will.
unless someone higher up calls out O'Malley. I think
Mm,
someone higher up did call out O'Malley in the 135s.
I didn't even see it, Joey. Because
Oh,
after
what's the name? After the fight,
who
oh my God, why is he Cahuta?
really?
Cahuta was all drunk backstage, like he was intoxicated, and he was O'Malley was doing a post-fight press conference in the back with the UFC like Facebook page,
Hmm.
and there's actually videos of Cahuta like talking crap to him, and O'Malley said, "Get out of here, you fat drunk midget." And it was pretty funny, but yeah, I mean, that's not. I don't think that's a fight O'Malley wants, even though O'Malley's much bigger than him, because
Right,
Cahuta just
right.
gets the inside position, gets him to the ground, and you're just gonna ragdoll him for
That's all it's
3
gonna
rounds.
be. That's gonna be.
Yeah,
Yep.
people
Well,
don't realize how good Cahuta is on the ground.
exactly.
Like
Yeah.
this dude was in the Olympics. Like this dude is a world
Hmm.
class wrestler. He may
Right.
be cringeworthy with that bend the knee stuff that he does, the triple C's thing, whatever he calls himself, but
Mm,
he's legit. He's legit. I mean,
he
he's the only
is.
one
He
ever
is.
upset Demetrius Johnson. I mean,
So
he's legit.
do you think? Okay, would you rather see Munoz and O'Malley go back again as a run it back again, or do you want Kudo? Which one do you want? Which one do you want to see, Joey?
For just because I don't like Sean O'Malley, I'd rather like to see him fight Cejudo just so Cejudo could humble him a little bit.
You just want my man shut up for a while, don't you? You just don't like my man. That's what it is, Joey. I see what it
Just
is,
'cause,
man.
like here's the thing, like with Connor, like after a fight's over, he's humbled a little bit. He's respectful to his fighter. Outside of
Right.
Khabib,
Mhm.
like he beats Eddie, he's respectful. He goes over, he shakes his hand, like he apologizes.
Right, right.
He fought Aldo. He was respectful to Aldo after the fight. All these fighters that he's outside of Diaz and Khabib, where they've had legit bad blood.
Yes.
After he's humble in defeat, but he's also humble after the fight because he knows he's selling a fight. It just seems like to me like
Agree.
O'Malley, the persona that we get is who he actually is,
Agree.
and just to me, he seems like a douchebag. I'm sorry.
Speaking of people checking in, Lynn Duarte, how you doing, honey? I appreciate you checking in, and we see you check into our lot of shows. We greatly appreciate your time, always checking into us. Thank you so much. But Joey, let me ask you this, man. Sean O'Malley, I love watching him. I love that wild child type of guy. But to me, he's like one of those island boys, man. Unpredictable, flashy, like that's the way he is. But
Don't get me wrong, he's great.
no, he's
He's
good.
great
He's
on the
good.
feet. Don't get me wrong. He's better than good, Paul. On the feet, he's special. He's
Yes.
special. But like I haven't seen a lot of these fights where dudes are just forcing him to engage in what he's not great at.
Yeah,
Force
yeah.
his back to the cage, control the center of the octagon, make him fight off the cage or make him fight off his back or turn it into a grappling match. Like I didn't understand this game plan where Munoz is a smaller dude with a much smaller reach, and
Yes.
he's allowing O'Malley to dictate the pace and the separation of the fight. Like we'll talk about it. We'll talk about distance and stuff later in the fight, later in the card, because one dude's distance was just
insane.
wild. But
yes.
just I just didn't understand. Like I thought Munoz would have been able to control the ground and to stand on the feet.
No, I agree with you,
It's
Joey.
shocking to me, but
I agree
we'll see
100%.
how that goes.
I agree with that 100%. Like you just said. I mean, to me, it's Joey. If I'm going to fight you, man, you're like a wrestler to me. You get me on my ass on the ground, I could be done. You know what I mean? To me, I might want to stand you up for a while. And that's exactly what happened in this fight. When you got a smaller fighter with a smaller reach, you want to dictate the ground game.
And it wasn't little. It was like 8 inches, right?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, it was huge. It was huge. It was more than normal that you don't see, Joey. But O'Malley dictated the whole. He had ring control. He wanted to stay up. He wanted to stay up. And if I'm the other corner, I'm like, dude, just get him on the ground. You have no shot at the reach.
Or even attempt it.
Exactly.
Here's the thing: if you attempt 2 or 3 takedowns, right? Even if they're not successful, that's now in the fighter's back of their mind.
Right.
That's in the back of his mind that he has to now worry about the takedown. Yes. So an overhand jab, O'Malley's not thinking in the back of his head, is he going to try to turn that jab into a single leg where he's going to die for my leg and try to take me down? Exactly. That would have been in the back of his mind the whole time. I don't know. I think it was one of those things where Munoz, maybe because he's a warrior, because of the name he is and who he's fought,
right.
I think he maybe relied on that a little too much and didn't give one of the situations where they didn't maybe give O'Malley enough respect. But we'll see. But here's the thing: I was watching the fight at home, and my cousin was like, "O'Malley's so big for a 145er," and I was like, "Yo, bro, he's not 145. He's fighting at 135." O'Malley's big for a 145er, and he's fighting at 135.
Yeah.
Like this dude's size compared to everyone else is just it's just crazy. But it works for him because he's a smaller dude, like build wise. Even though he's lanky, he's a smaller dude. So I guess he's not cutting crazy amounts of weight to get underweight.
Right.
So it works for him. It's definitely gonna be interesting. But I don't see after what we saw. I mean, Sterling was coming out saying that he would take his back in a heartbeat and tap him out. I think Sterling came out and said that he would take his back and put him in a chokehold faster than he's ever done. Which Sterling people like to shit on Aljamain a lot because of that injury thing where it was a legit injury. He actually got neck surgery. A dude's not getting neck surgery for an injury that's not real. Like come on, people. So
especially in this line of business, no, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Sterling probably could beat O'Malley fairly easy because Sterling's wrestling is incredible. Once he gets you to the ground, if he gets your back, it's over. But we'll see. We'll see how this affects the rankings, if any. But Dana, with the name that O'Malley brings, is itching to get him in that top 5, get him close to that top 5. to
Yeah.
get him some marquee fights and move up that
Oh, of course. Of
pay-per-view
course.
card. So we'll see
Of
how that
course.
plays out. But let's move on to the next fight because this card was packed. This fight
Mm, mm,
probably
mm.
so it was up there for fight of the night until the
It
co-main event
was.
happened. Until the co-main
Yeah.
event happened, then it was like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's not fight of the night. But this was a
Mm.
slugfest. I mean, for the first
Oh,
two
wow.
rounds, Lawler looked like he was gonna drop this dude at any second.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
literally looked like he was gonna drop
Yeah.
him, and then Barberena just I don't know where he got the second chin or something, but turned it around there. It was
Oh,
incredible.
Joey, I'm
Incredible.
sitting there. I'm sitting there watching this fight. I'm like, because I took Barberena. I think you took Lawler. Is that correct?
I did.
Okay, so I'm up 1-0 here after this fight, but bragging rights. But I'm sitting there around one, Joey, and I'm sitting there. My cousin's over here watching, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Lawler is going to knock this dude out quick. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, I mean, just like you said, fight. It was possible fight of the night, Joey. It definitely was. But
Yeah.
I tell you what, this right here was a complete slugfest. And I don't know, like if any regular dude, Barberena's jaw is gone. He's done.
Yeah.
It's over. But I don't know what the hell to do. We always hear that term second wind. My man caught a third and fourth wind because I tell you what, it was insane. It was insane.
Did you hear the story they were telling of when Barberena was walking into the cage? It was really cool. So
Mm-mm.
Barberena wasn't an MMA fighter or anything. He was at an event. I think they said it was UFC 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's picking fights.
Yep, there's Chris Deeder. You can check him out on. He actually hops on Devereaux Sports once in a while. Chris used to be a UFC fight fan guy before at the other network. Chris, you're more than welcome to hop on anytime you want. Great guy, great knowledge of the game. So give me a call whenever you want to hop on, brother. I'd love to have you on here. But yeah, I agree with that one.
Yeah,
So,
but we know these cash cows for the
yeah,
UFC. They're picking
right.
these fights. It's a lot less than it is in boxing, but we
Mm-hmm.
know these guys. But if he's picking fights, I mean, Munoz is a bad fight to pick, I think. But getting to this fight, walking to the cage, I believe they said that it was UFC 100.
Mm-hmm.
Barberena and his wife were in the arena together watching this fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Lawler was there, and like Lawler inspired him so much that he
Wow.
said, "I'm going to pursue MMA." The next
Wow.
week, he joined MMA, and he said his one goal was to fight Robbie Lawler, and that ultimately happened. Like, talk
Wow.
about setting
Wow.
your goals and achieving them. Like,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
an incredible story. If I heard it right, because I mean, there was a lot of people in my house and stuff, but I believe that's what they were saying, that Lawler inspired him to become a fighter, and then his goal was to fight Robbie Lawler in the UFC, which that is just an
Wow.
incredible story.
That's like stories like you tell your child one day, like before football games. I don't know if you ever noticed, but Shane used to keep in his helmet a letter, strive to be the best. Every play is the last play of the game. And he always had it in his helmet, a little bitty note. And just like with this here, this is like your legend, man. What you got you into the love of the sport of, UFC. And you got a UFC primetime card going up against the person that you gave you the love of the sport, and you fought him and you knocked him out. Like, to me, that's me like, wow, man, that's insane. I didn't even hear that, Joey. I didn't even hear about that. Wow.
Yeah, it was, and I listening to it, I was like, that's incredible to hear, like that story, like that to me was like, well, like I was worried to listening to that leading up to it. I was worried that he might have been a little starstruck or something, like emotional. Like, it didn't affect him at all. But that's what I was worried about. I was worried about it affecting him. Like, like the one of the quotes that I've always heard that stuck out to me, I think it was Wooden that said it, John Wooden. He said something like, a lot of times the journey to the result is more satisfying than the result itself.
And
So
that's
I
coming
was
from a legend.
thinking,
That's coming from a legend.
and I was thinking like relating that to this, I was thinking like, okay, well, he's worked his ass off to get to this point. He's finally got there. Like, is it going to be like just an energy dump where it's like the adrenaline's pumping that pre-walkout and getting to that result? It's like, it's just wasted, which didn't look like it happened. If it did happen, he got his energy back by that third round, because that was incredible.
That was insane, man. I mean, I'm talking like, it reminded me of playing like some old boxing match on, some kind of PS2 or something where your bar goes all the way up and then all of a sudden it comes all the way down. And it's just like you get like you have an energy drink or something, Joey. That's how this fight was. It was
Yeah.
insane, man. Like I don't think I sat down, Joey, when I was watching this fight. Honestly, I think I was just jumping up, like, I was swinging for the fences on this. But what do you think? I mean, you think what happens with Lawler now, Barberena? Where do they go from here, Joey? What's next? What do you need to see next for these guys?
I have to look at the standings in terms of where Barberena is. I think he was ranked, so I'm guessing he'll just end up fighting someone. Let me look it up real fast. I think he was ranked.
He wasn't that low. I mean, I think he was pretty up there, though, wasn't he? I think he was. I'm trying to look at it here real quick. So, but I mean, what do you think with Lawler, though? I mean, his age is up there, Joey. I know Father Time, but what do you think with him? I mean, he still showed he can fight, Joe. We all know that. I mean, do you think he's going to be a main card, not a main card, but on a primetime card, or what?
Like I said earlier, he's the type of dude I just want at this point see like him fight like some bigger name legends type of thing.
Okay.
Not really see him fight some of these younger up and comer guys, because some of these guys are just killers.
Yeah. Let it out. Come on, let it out.
It wouldn't come out. But yeah, I mean, I don't need to see him fight these younger dudes just because I don't think
I agree.
He is going to be able to compete with a lot of these up and comers, a lot of these.
And the funny thing we talked about last week, Joey, is when you have a legend in the game like Lawler, okay, and all these up and coming fighters in the divisions, the up and coming, the young cats out there who have the game, have the the potential to be somebody. Just like we said, we hate seeing legends fight them. To get the name of the up and coming fighter out there. I would like to see Lawler fight, like you said, someone, because he's on his way out, Joey. He's definitely on his way out. But I would like to see him get a couple more fights in. Don't go out like Cowboy's doing, basically. I hate to say that about him, but going out like Cowboy, losing the fights just to take the fight. I'd like to see him in a fair. I mean, anything is fair with Lawler. He can fight anybody.
But his last fight before this, Paul, he stopped Nick Diaz. I mean,
that's what I mean.
That's the type of fighters I want to see him. I want to see him fight these guys who are also older. They're also maybe closer to the end than the beginning.
Right.
Where it's just like kind of like two legends kind of fighting each other. Like I was always a big proponent, and this was something that there was rumors about before they never actually did, like a legends division. Kind of like seriously, Paul, like think about it, like a 205 division.
You almost made me throw my drink up, Joey. Like I thought you were gonna say like what I am, a senior citizen division, Joey. Like once you get a certain thing, like you gotta show your senior citizen card and you get a fight. Like come on.
Like a 205-pound like division, like Robbie Lawler, like if Anderson Silva was still fighting, like these guys, like we just see these big name fighters who are fighting each other just because they still love the sport. But you're not having them fight these young killers who are just gonna kind of walk through them. But this fight was a great fight. It was fight of the night until that co-main event. It was definitely an incredible fight. Back and forth. It looked like at any moment either one of them were going to drop the other one. So it was definitely incredible. Did. But let's get on to this next fight. This next fight was a little head scratching.
Ooh, well, wait a minute. Who did you take on this, Joey? Who did you take?
I think we both took Strickland, Paul.
I know. I'm just seeing if it changed. Yeah. Boy, were we wrong? Were we wrong, Joey? Holy crap, dude!
Yeah, this fight to me was like so mind numbing. Like we knew that this dude's stand up was incredible. He dropped Izzy twice in kickboxing. Mm-hmm. We knew his stand up was incredible, and Strickland decided to stand right here and fight him. Like what? Like what? Were you training at all? Were you watching any?
We talked about this last week, Joe, and how long did we spend exactly on what we just said right there? And my man just did a complete 180, Joe.
We literally said, take it to the ground and dominate on the ground. And the side said Strickland wants to do the exact opposite and stand as close as possible to the guy and get dropped, like out cold. Like it was just stupid, but this dude's a killer. This dude,
we'll talk. Well, I mean, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this fight because we know how this ended up quick as hell.
But Paul, did you see the reports that came out?
What?
How much he weighed during fight night?
No, I didn't even see it. What was it?
He rehydrated to 205 pounds.
He looked every bit of it, man. My man was.
He's huge. I don't know how he makes 185.
We'll talk about it. There was a call out. What was a call out, like Joey, when the last
It was a
fight?
reverse call out. It was a reverse call
Is
out, which was a little.
exactly it sure was, which is kind of unheard of. But hey,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it.
When
But
you get dropped twice, doesn't matter if you're champion.
yeah, right. Well, let's move on, Joey. Here it is, Joey. Here it is. Volkanowski versus Holloway, the trilogy, Joey. I'll let you go. I'll let you go, Joey, because this was incredible. This was incredible.
There's not much to say. Volk is. I mean, I know we're only. I believe this was his 5th title defense, right?
I think it's 5th.
He beat Holloway twice,
right.
Korean Zombie, Ortega. So this was his 4th, I think. 4th title defense.
Fourth, yeah, right.
And I mean, I know he has a little ways to go because I believe Aldo defended it 9 times. Defended it about 9 times, which is unheard of in the MMA world. But Volk is headed towards dare I say GOAT status. He's and here's the wild thing is like he's only been doing MMA since 2012. So he's only been doing it for 10 years. He is still learning the sport. He is still learning how to properly strike, and he's still learning how to. And he's the best in the division. He's cleared out that division.
He is.
Emmett, who had a great fight a couple weeks ago, said, "I'm the last one, Volk. Like if you're talking about moving up to 155 and stuff like that. He's like, if you beat me, you'll officially clear out the division.
Right.
Fight me. If you beat me, you move up. You clear out the division, you move up. But he was saying like, fight me, and that'd be a good fight to make. But this fight, I mean, I think one judge gave Holloway a round, which I don't know how.
I don't see that happening.
Volk was a clean sweep, and Holloway, before Volkanovski came on the scene, was considered possibly the GOAT of the 145. Volkanovski now is just taking it to the next level. He's incredible, and that cut that Holloway had on this fight.
Yeah,
that dude's finger was literally inside.
Joey, when the cut man came in there, Joey, we talked about it. If it was boxing, it would have been definitely over right then and there. We know that. But when that cut man sat him down, Joey, his finger
was in the cut.
Exactly. Usually a finger just touches it here, it heals up. You put the little whatever you want, liquid, whatever you want to put on there to seal it up.
The Vaseline.
But my man's finger, Joey, you couldn't see his finger. His finger looked like the head was straight afterwards. It was so damn deep. It was like, my God, dude.
At this point in the night, I was suffering from a little bit of a migraine, so I wasn't watching as much for this fight. But like,
wait! Why were you having a hangover? What was it? A hangover from proper 12, or we just had a migraine?
No. It was. I suffer from migraines here and there.
Okay.
So it was just one of those ones that came out of nowhere. Okay. But I was awake, but I was just like laying down, my eyes closed, and my brothers and cousins were saying like, "This fight's gonna be stopped." Like it's ugly.
So
like that's so bad. And the funny thing is I was sleeping with a migraine, and I heard in the corner, I heard my cousin like ask my brother a fact about MMA, and I don't know how I did it, but I picked my head up, looked to the side, spit out the fact, and lay back down, went to sleep. Like I don't know how I did it, but they were talking about something with McGregor and Holloway, and I was like, yeah, McGregor beat Holloway with a torn ACL, and I lay back down and went to bed. I was like, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. But this fight, I mean, I watched it back the next day. Volkanovski is headed towards the GOAT status. I don't see anyone touching him. I would love to see Ortega get back to the title picture and see Ortega Volkanovski again, because I think Ortega had him rocked pretty bad in their fights. That'd be pretty good to see. And it was funny because Holloway said Holloway like jokingly put up a tweet and said 2-0 in terms of knockdowns in my trilogy of Volkanovski. And then he was at the end, he would like laugh out loud, just kidding, like head up to 155 and clear out that division.
But you're 100% right, Joey. Just like after the fight, Dana White comes out there and he says, "What's next? You basically ran through the entire division. Are you moving up?" And he said, "I mean, hey, listen, we'll see. I mean, if he does move up, Joey, that's almost a 15-pound weight class, Joey. What do you think he's okay there? I mean,
Well,
what do you think?
he's 145. It's 155. There's only
Right,
10.
it's 10, but you're gonna bulk
But
up. You know what I mean?
I think he's a little.
He's on the heavy side of 145.
He's definitely on the heavy side, but I think he's a smaller 145. He's only 5'6". We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about 155, where Poirier, I believe, is like 6'2".
Right, that's what I mean. How do you think he stacks up with that?
Oliveira is 6'2", 6'3".
With power,
I
right?
would love to see Oliveira and Volkanowski. I think that'll be a fight. Don't get me wrong. Oliveira is good on the feet,
Mm-hmm.
but Volkanovski is a step above him on the feet. So I think it would be a
Mm-hmm.
fight where it's who can impose their will. Can Oliveira get it to the ground? Where
Right, right.
Volkanovski's not a slouch on the ground. Like he's one of the best well-rounded fighters in the MMA game. You just don't get to see it because he's such a technician on the feet. But
Mm-hmm.
I just think I can't bet against Volkanovski at this time. I think
I
he'd
can't
run,
either.
even at only being 5'6".
Mm-hmm.
I think he would walk through that division too. I just think
Oh, I don't know, Joey. I don't know about that, man. I mean,
he's just
mm,
so technically gifted. For a guy, you talk about a lot of these MMA fighters, they've been doing this their whole life, whether it
right.
was wrestling or boxing, and they turned it into UFC,
Mm-hmm.
MMA. Volkanovski was a professional rugby player who picked it up after
Yeah,
his rugby
yeah.
career was over. Like
Right, right.
he's only been doing it for 10 years, and he looks
Mhm.
this good.
It's
And he gets
insane.
better every single fight. It's a better Volkanovski than we've seen the fight before.
It's
I
insane.
just think if we gave him 3 more years, there's no one touching him. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree. I think he's right now to me, he's of course he's top of the division. He is possibly the GOAT of this division of all time, Joey. And
I still think
he's
he has a
still
little ways to go before he touches Aldo.
you think so?
Aldo defended the belt 9 times. I mean, we're talking about like Chad Mendez, Frankie Edgar. Um,
But
he's fought some killers. He beat Mendez twice.
right,
That was Mendez who was juiced to the gill.
right, right, right.
Like he's fought some killers, and those like not getting off topic, but the Jose Aldo from before
Mhm.
is not the same one we have now. But the Jose Aldo from before, who would kick the crap out of your legs to the point where you couldn't even stand anymore, that dude was an absolute monster. Like
Right.
Jose Aldo was just a different animal. Volkanovski's great, but he defended his belt 9 times in some all-out wars. So I think if we can see him get to that 9-10 range where he defends about that many times, maybe I'll consider him the GOAT. But Jose Aldo, in my eye, is the 145 GOAT.
Well, I don't think we're gonna have to wait much longer on that, Joey. There's nobody in this division that can touch him right now. You know, there's nobody in this division, Joey, that can even
Probably the only one's going to give him a fight is Ortega.
that's the only thing though. I mean, if he wins that, Joey, what else can he do except move up? I mean,
Yeah, and I don't know if UFC wants to go on the route of continuing to give I mean, UFC very rarely
right.
gives someone a rematch of a champion that's beat them. You know what I mean? Like, so Volkanovski's beaten Ortega.
Mm-hmm.
Volkanovski was the champion. UFC doesn't tend to give that guy a rematch if the champion still has the belt.
Right, right.
Just because he's already beaten him once, there's no reason to give this guy a rematch because he wasn't the champion in the first place.
Agree.
So we'll see. And the only reason Holly got that rematch is because that last fight was such a
Yeah, it was
controversial
controversial fight.
decision that they had to run it back. But
Right.
it's going to be interesting. We'll see.
It is.
I think a couple more title defenses, maybe 3 more.
Okay.
It'll put him at 3 more. Will put him at 7.
Mm-hmm.
If he keeps running through the fighters the way he does, 7. Even though Aldo had 9, 7 would still be a good number. I think we could call him the GOAT then.
Okay.
But Aldo had the belt for over 1,700 days.
Yeah, I know.
Like
2 years. 2 years. Yeah. Yeah.
no, more than 2 years, Paul. 1,700 days.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. What am I thinking? Yeah, you're
Like
looking at like 6 years.
yeah, like
Mhm.
until McGregor came, no one was touching Aldo.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, 1,700 days is a lot more than not even 2 years, Joey. We'll put it that way. There's a lot. There's a lot to
Yeah, so
Aldo's
he
credit. Yeah.
won the belt. He won the belt. He was promoted to the UFC champion
Mhm.
on September 30th of 2010. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
he defended it. for 5 years until he lost to McGregor at
Wow.
at 194.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even think it was that long, Joey. I thought it was like 3 or 4 years. That was it. But wow, 5 years. I didn't think it was that long, honestly. I thought it was like 3 or 4 years.
No, and he look at the guys he's beat. He beat Cub Swanson. He beat Mike Brown. He beat Uriah
Mhm.
Faber, Mark Hominick. Oh my God, that fight.
Yeah,
If you thought Joanna's head was bad,
I
and when
remember.
we go look
Hmm.
at that, I mean, people at home,
Yeah,
that is one of the hardest. But he beat Kenny Florian, who's an absolute animal.
beast. Hmm.
Chad Mendez twice.
I
Frankie
agree.
Edgar.
I agree.
Korean Zombie when the Korean Zombie was still in his prime before the military servings.
Hmm.
Uh, and then Ricardo Lamas, who was again another killer. Like that run right there is maybe one of the best we've ever seen. So I think Volkanovski is a little more
Okay,
time
we'll give him
before he gets
time.
to
We'll give
that
him time.
point.
We'll give him
But I
time.
think he's well on his way.
He's definitely on his way. We can agree on that. But speaking of dominance,
Hmm.
that's okay. I was still. I got to admit. Okay, I gave Jared the puncher's chance, Joey. I gave him a puncher's chance, but my man couldn't even lay a finger on Izzy. Okay, just the last style bender is his last
He
style
had
bender for a
some
reason.
success there
He
though
did. He did. He
in
did.
rounds 4 and 5s when he legit did what we said he needed to do. He needed to
Mm-hmm.
not get comfortable on the feet. He needed
Yes.
to get in Izzy's face, get his
Mm-hmm.
back against the cage, and make it a dirty fight. Not dirty
Yeah.
like
Right. Right.
doing
Right. Right.
like
Right.
but dirty boxing. Get in close, get
Mm-hmm.
in the clinch, try to get takedowns. I don't think Jarrett shot a takedown the entire time.
No, I think there was one where it was like a miss attempt, Joey, where it looked like a slip actually when he moved forward and he grabbed the leg, and Izzy was just like with the hand, like,
Yeah.
no, no, not
But I
today.
think most of Jarrett's successful punches were punches that were initiated from the
Is
clinch,
exactly right,
which
right,
which
right.
is just like it's so. And I guess it might be easier for us sitting at home watching, but it's just like mind numbing when this guy's corner is not telling him get in the
Yes,
clinch. He is
yes.
picking you apart from the feet. And for all these idiot fans who just want to keep calling Izzy a boring fighter, the name of the
Mm.
game is to win the fight.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're not happy I didn't get the knockout. I won the fight. That's all
Hmm.
that matters at the end of the day is that W in your win column. That's it.
Exactly.
That's all that
What?
matters. So
One
for you
hundred
to
percent.
say Izzy is boring, he doesn't give two shits.
Mm-mm.
All he cares about is getting that W. And he does enough, keeps the distance, lands enough strikes to keep you at
Mm-hmm.
bay to outpoint
Agree.
you. But
Agree. Agree. 100%.
Izzy calls out his Izzy the boogeyman. You know, he's pretty much Izzy's
Yeah.
boogeyman. He dropped him twice in kickboxing. So we can't say Izzy's gonna have. Now I still think Izzy's probably a little bit better stand-up
Hmm.
striker, but
Okay.
to call him out, I mean, this dude. I think here's the thing, Paul. I think Izzy's a better striker,
Right. Okay.
but I think he has better power.
I
There's a
agree.
type. I think the type where if he touches you, he's gonna drop you. But Izzy's just so good at keeping the distance. Here's another thing. I'm curious to see. Izzy's been doing MMA for a little longer.
Okay.
I'm curious to see if we don't get a Ngannou type game plan where he pulls a
Mm.
rabbit out of the hat and takes you to the ground and doesn't allow you to stand up. Because isn't that the best path to victory? If I'm fighting a guy that I know has beaten me twice in just straight kickboxing, and I
Yeah.
know my MMA game is better than yours, why wouldn't you attempt takedowns? Why wouldn't you attempt submissions?
Well, Joey, it's the UFC, okay, and 50% of the fighters don't do that, Joey. I don't get it. Just like you said, these trainers in the corner, you see how you're getting your ass kicked. You know how to adapt, overcome, and come back to at least solidify a round at least.
Yeah.
But we don't see it, Joey. We don't see it. But my thing, Joey, okay, Izzy is great. Okay, he's fast. He can do any style you want him to do. I mean, he can avoid this. He can avoid your hits. He can do whatever he needs to do.
Yeah.
Contact, the takedown. His stand up game is insane. His takedown, his avoidance of the takedown was insane. I mean, it's insane to me. But that power, Joey, that power, and we all know Periera does not give a damn. He's going to attack you, Joey. He's
Yeah,
going to attack.
Alex is
He's
a
going to
killer.
attack. He's going to attack, Joey. And
He's got legit power in his hands, man. Like,
I mean, I can see Izzy, avoiding some, I mean, yeah, he's the last style better. He's going to avoid some hits, Joey, but Alex he's not going to stop, Joey. He's just going to come at you. He throws combos, Joey. A lot of fighters are afraid to throw combos against Izzy because the speed. You missed the first one, you're getting a jab right back on the opposite side.
Yeah, he's already out before you can throw another punch.
Exactly. He's in and out so fast. By the time you see the first punch, he's already out, leaning back for the second one where you're ducking and the counter's coming in. But Alex is different, Joey. He's going to come in. You've seen what he did, Joey. It wasn't just one punch. It was a combo that laid him out. It was a combo. He came in, boom, boom, and it was night out. Good night. It was over, and I don't – I mean, this is going to be one hell of a fight, Joey. I'm not even going to get into it, but, man, and it's so weird that the champion called him out, Joey.
Well, was it
champion?
Paul, here's the thing, though. Was it really a call out or more of they said – Rogan said to Izzy, what's next? And Izzy said, are you really, like, pretty much said, are you really asking what's next? We all know what's next. Alex, like, get your ass in here. You know what I mean? Like, was it really a call out, or was it really much just Izzy saying that's a dumb question? Everyone knows what's next.
You know what? I in a way, in both of us are right. I think both ways it's right, Joey. I think it was more done as Dana, as like a PR rep saying, okay, what's next? We all know what's next. Izzy did his job saying, hey, Alex, get your ass in the ring. Everybody wants to see it. You're next.
The fight sells itself, Paul. You just all you gotta do is, because Izzy's one of those. Izzy is a lot like O'Malley. He's one of those polarizing characters.
No, not that bad, Joey.
No. But I'm saying he's a polarizing character where people either are watching him because they're a fan, or they're watching him because they want to see him lose. They're both the same type of people.
Agreed.
Here's the thing: you're literally your promo for this pay-per-view, which can happen relatively fast because Alex took no damage, Izzy took no damage. That fight could happen this year because both of these fighters weren't hurt. But literally, all you got to do is just show those glory fights, because that's where it happened. It happened in Glory Kickboxing. All you got to do is just show those glory clips of Alex dropping Izzy, and the fight sells itself.
It does. I mean, just like you said, there was no damage taken on either part. I mean, it was just, Isreal went 5 rounds, but he was untouched, Joey.
Yeah.
Jared just dominated the entire fight. It was just quick and over with. It was done. It was easy. No touches, nothing. So, you know what? Hey,
let me ask you a question, Paul. Let me ask you a question. When the UFC is making this card, right, and they're putting these fights in this order, and because obviously the championship fights are always the main events, right?
Right.
So Strickland versus Alex was the biggest fight on the card, non-title fight, right?
Right.
When the UFC was making this card, this was their dream. Their dream was Alex won his fight, Izzy won his fight. It already sets itself up. This was a perfect storm situation for the UFC. It literally happened, and it usually doesn't. Usually doesn't happen like this. Usually, one of the fights they want to see happen, especially in combat sports, where a knockout, one punch ends it. What they're trying to set up doesn't come to fruition.
Exactly. Right.
Like we talk about Canelo when he lost his last fight. Triple G was in at ringside to set up that fight. That doesn't happen because Canelo loses. This literally was a perfect storm for the UFC where exactly what they wanted to happen was able to happen.
I agree 100%. I mean, this is a storyline made in heaven for the UFC. Alex knocks his boy out. Then you have Izzy. Dana gets in the ring. What's next? Izzy does his job. The man's right there. Make it happen. Same
we
card.
Talk about that too, Paul. Has there been anything coming out yet about Dana White? Like, this is the biggest fight card of the year. He's not at the press conference. He's not at the weigh-ins.
That's weird. That's weird.
He's not at the pay-per-view. What is he?
I don't know.
Are we getting a wellness check on this dude or what? Because it's weird, right? Like the biggest card of the year, International Fight Week.
Exactly.
And he's nowhere to be found. I was wondering if maybe he got COVID and they weren't announcing it because he was around some of the fighters, and if they announced it, some of these fighters would have to go into quarantine, and they didn't want to lose any of their fights, so they
Hmm.
maybe kept it hush hush. But
Right,
like,
right.
it was just very strange that your biggest card of the year, your pretty much face of the company, isn't there. Another thing I want to talk about before
Hmm.
we end the show tonight, Paul, is I'm not sure if you saw this.
Hmm.
There was a huge confrontation in the crowd.
No, I didn't even see it, Joey. I didn't even see it. What
Dustin
happened?
Poirier got a whole, not a whole, like he didn't attack him, but he confronted Michael Chandler. It
Wait, wait,
was
wait. Just after the show, after the
no
fights.
during the
I didn't
fights.
even see it because after usually during the fights, Joey, like in the as they're heading to the ring. Oh, Joey, real quick before we get out of here, I want to touch base with you something. I know you're a big wrestling guy, so I want to ask you something. But I didn't even see that, Joey. When during what fight? What fight was this?
I don't know. I'm not sure what fight it was because they didn't really talk about it during the press conference, but
Okay.
it was buzzing on Twitter that um, supposedly like Chandler was walking by
Mm-hmm.
and Poirier had like cage side seats.
Mm-hmm.
Poirier was actually sitting with the guy that just won the 205 belt. They were sitting
Okay.
together
Okay.
watching the fight, and Chandler walks by, and Poirier like starts flapping his gums at him. So
Mm.
Chandler goes back at him, like they almost come face to face. The
Mm-hmm.
UFC security guard had to step in the middle and literally drag Poirier and Chandler apart from each other.
Wow. Wow. I
Which
didn't
I
even see
think
that.
that's an intriguing fight to make. I think.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you just got another fight out there with a huge PR value too, you know. But Joey, real quick, I know we're about to get out of here. We're going a little bit over time, but we got two things to discuss real quick. I know you're a huge wrestling fan, and also Joey, I know your show's on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Out of the ring wrestling. You can check my man Joey out there talking to AEW, WWE, he's talking all of it. But Joey, Izzy came out
Yeah,
Undertaker, Joey.
that was
Hot.
pretty sick.
That was sick, wasn't it? Like Joey, I was like, holy shit, he's coming out with the
Yeah,
Undertaker, and then it's him carrying the urn with the hat. Like, how
yeah,
awesome is that? How awesome was that, Joey?
that was pretty sick.
Man,
It was a
man.
pretty cool atmosphere. The only thing is, and it's my only beef I have with Izzy is
Okay.
if you're an Undertaker fan, you know he doesn't touch the urn. You
See,
know
that's knowledge
that's
from Joey. Knowledge.
that's always Paul Bearer's job. Paul Bearer has the urn, and
Hmm.
that controls the Undertaker, and Undertaker doesn't really touch the urn. So
Okay.
the only thing I would have wished is that Izzy had maybe like his manager or something carry out the urn, but
Okay.
it was definitely a cool experience, definitely a
It was.
uh cool thing to watch. But speaking of pro wrestling, I think after this fight, Jessica I said she's headed to Orlando to train pro wrestling.
Really?
I think so. I think that's what I
Wow,
read.
I didn't hear about that. But speaking of anything in Orlando down there,
Yeah.
Joey, I mean, hey, this is a good segue. Everything leads into one thing after another. But
Yeah.
speaking of Orlando down there, there's a place called Disney down there. So I don't know. I had this number on the screen. I don't know what this number is, but can you tell me a little bit about it? I don't even know who this guy is. I don't even know who this guy is, Mr. M. Can you tell me who Joey is? Tell me who this guy is.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So speaking of Orlando, but not strictly Orlando, California, Hawaii, cruises, international water, Bahamas, wherever you want to go. Um, I recently become a Disney travel agent. It's been about a month now. I am officially licensed with Disney. So what happens is you would call me up, say, "Hey, I want to go to a Disney World trip." I would be able to get you a quote. Costs absolutely nothing for me to generate a quote for you. If you're like, "Oh, that works for my family," because prices, people think of Disney and they say it's out of our price range.
Mhm.
It's a trip that most people don't ever get to take, which is it's not true. Disney, I tell people all the time, a week in Disney is probably cheaper than a week down the shore. People don't
Okay.
realize that because once you get to Disney, everything's paid for. Your
Mhm.
room's paid for, your hotel, your tickets are paid for. People don't realize that. You know, when you get down the shore, Disney and the shore's hotels are probably the exact same price.
Mhm.
When you get on the shore, nothing's paid for. You know, nothing's included.
Okay.
So reach out to me. I'll get you a quote. It's probably gonna be a lot more feasible than you think.
Okay.
If you like the price, only thing I have to do at that time is $200. The rest isn't due until 30 days before the trip. So if you wanted to call me every single week you got paid and said, "Hey, I want to pay $100 towards my trip," I could put $100 down for your trip every single week until your trip gets here. So there's payment plan options. There's definitely options for you to make this work. But like I said, Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruises, Disney Hawaii, whatever you could possibly want to, reach out to me. I can help you get the trip. I don't cost anything extra to use me. Disney pays me a commission based off of your price,
Okay.
but it does not make your price more. So it's the
Hey.
same price you would pay if you book directly through Disney. The convenience of using me is there's no hassle for your booking. If there's an issue one day where COVID's still a thing. If your family gets COVID before you go to the trip,
Mhm.
I can help you move your trip to make sure your family still enjoys it when you
Oh,
heal up.
okay. Okay.
And God willing, everything's good. So reach out to me, get you a quote, something we can work out. We can work out. If not, quotes are free. So reach out to me. I can get you a quote and get you guys started on planning the most magical vacation in the world.
Hey, there you go. Look at that. Everything works out for a reason out there. Look, if you're down there, give Joey, if you want to head down there, give Joey a call, man. Anywhere, Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Cruises, wherever you want to go. Hey, give my man Joey a call.
For sure.
Here, just tell him Joey sent you. Call Joey and tell him Joey sent you. Or Out of the Box sent you, okay? Not a
For
big deal.
sure.
But listen, before we get out of here, let me give you all of our shows lineups here. You can check out all of our shows on Out of the Box Sports Network starting every Tuesday night. Of course, here we are, Joey Woods, myself, Fight Club 215 at 10 p.m. every Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, you're going to see me again talking all about the Dallas Cowboys. Them 215 boys at 9 p.m. with my main man, Matt Klein. Keeping it real, keeping it fresh with all Dallas Cowboy knowledge. Thursday night, we got you covered. 4 for 4 locker room with Big Mike Lauro. 4 for 4 locker room, 8 p.m. Thursday night. Again, you'll see Joey Saturday morning Out of the Ring Wrestling with Joey Woods talking AEW, WWE, keeping you all in tune. Just like he dropped the knowledge with the Undertaker not carrying the urn, Paul Bearer carrying the urn. We didn't even know that. I didn't know that. But then on Saturday night, you have Rob Hefner, our newest show, coming with the Vegas heat, the Vegas sports scene with AKA Vegas Rob Hefner. And also, we have more shows coming in the future. So if you like what you see,
for
you
sure.
like what you hear, hit that like button, hit that share button, but most importantly, hit that subscribe button, because without you guys, we're just sitting here talking. So you guys are the ones that keeps us going. So as
Paul,
for myself,
for sure. Before you guys want to let people know that we are going to be having a college football show coming up.
Yes, we are.
Me and Paul, unfortunately, like the same team. So we need to kind of get some more people involved in the show that are from different fan bases. So if you're a fan of a different college team, hit us up. We're going to try to get a day that works for everyone, that works with our already existing shows, but we want to get a college football sports show started with a lot of different fan bases to cover all things college football. So message us, Out of the Box Sports, message my personal page, Paul's personal page. Just message us if you're interested in college football, and we'll get you started on the show.
And just to piggyback, not even college football. If you guys want to talk sports, hey, there's no charge to jump on it. We do it because we're passionate. We have fun doing it. We enjoy doing it. We're just guys sitting around, not at the bar, because I don't like to drink that much on certain nights. Joey doesn't like to drink either on certain nights. We all have jobs, but we're just sitting here talking sports. If you want to talk sports with us, or even you don't even want to talk to us, do your own show, give myself a message. Give Joey a message. Hit us up. We'll get you
or
on
even the page, Paul, because the page has messaging options also.
See, there's Rob Hefner. He's always checking in. He's for a college show as well. I think we have
you
Penn State.
UNLV, Rob? Are you UNLV or are you Penn State?
No. I think he's Penn State.
Is he?
He's Penn State. Yeah. I don't think there is any UNLV fans out there.
No.
But, yeah. But hey, listen, man. If you're out there, prove me wrong. We'll get you spotlighted. We'll start you tomorrow night if you're a UNLV fan. All right. One and only out there, you give us a call. We'll have you on tomorrow night. No joke, okay? But hey, listen, for myself, Paul Spencer, and Joey Woods, listen, we enjoy you checking in. Thank you, and we are out of here.